Part 100. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1001. The body of the devourer must be strong. Wu Yu's motto is that cultivation is plundering. Therefore, he cannot cultivate with a saintly heart. Wu Yu will never be polite to the killers who come to his door and want to take his life. In this cultivation, to achieve the peak, it is necessary to plunder and step on the corpses of the enemy until it reaches the height of the heaven. Wu Yu doesn't know what others think, but this is his way. He can't be extremely evil, for the sake of his own strength, abandon his own persistence, and become a figure like the devourer demon ancestor. He can't be compassionate, like Yazixi did at the beginning, sacrificing himself to dedicate to others. His killing and guarding are all in accordance with his heart. Therefore, even if he devours the enemy, he will not have the slightest hesitation or inner uneasiness. In fact, if he dies in this battle, the flesh will rot and the purple palace energy will disappear. Even if Wu Yu doesn't devour, they will not be able to get any benefit. When a person dies, the body dies and the Tao disappears. There are very few people like Ming Long who survived with the Ruyi Jingbang as a carrier. And now, after his Tiantun body devoured 2 third-level cultivators in the realm of Taoism, it has grown to a certain extent. At this time, his original body, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yazixi, Tiantun body, and the bow and arrow spirit master in the dark all locked onto the killer old man Xuanhuan. This guy is very courageous and ignores the death of his 2 companions. Now, his eyes are cold and murderous, and he obviously wants to deal with Wu Yu alone. I didn't fully exert the power of the magic eye before. Now, I will use the illusion to the extreme. Next, you will bombard me, Nanshan Wanjiao said with a smile before the battle. He is still cunning. Xuanhuan will definitely be on guard after seeing his performance, but he probably didn't expect that Nanshan Wanjiao didn't show the true power of the magic eye at all. Then it all depends on you. Wu Yu came out of the heavenly demon emperor's mansion. He deeply knew how terrible the power of the top-level illusion would be. The first test was like returning to the starting point. At this time, Nanshan Wanjiao stood in front of the blood-poison guest, and his silver eyes looked at the blood-poison guest. I didn't expect that you, a seemingly stupid wild boar demon, actually know such a sophisticated method of illusion. It's really surprising, but this kind of false method, they just happened to meet me, he. He was really full of self-confidence, and waiting for his own people to die just now also proved this point. This may mean that he really has the confidence to kill Wu Yu and his men, even if he is besieged by so many people, but Wu Yu is also sure that he has definitely underestimated them. Start. At this time, it was Nanshan Wanjiao who took the initiative, and as soon as he took action, he activated the phantom demon pupil, that is to say, he did not activate the phantom demon pupil just now, but actually used part of its power. At this moment, Wu Yu was right in front of him. When the magic pupil was activated, the space in front of him was distorted. Even though Wu Yu was not the opponent being attacked, countless pictures flashed before his eyes, as if at that moment, he had another life. He was another person, living in a mortal world for decades, having children, and about to grow old. For Wu Yu, these pictures flashed in an instant. In front of Nanshan Wanjiao, it was like silver moonlight shining on the blood-poison guest. The old man was very arrogant and did not take Nanshan Wanjiao's illusion seriously. He mentioned the blood demon Zhan Ji and was about to kill. But when the moonlight enveloped him, Wu Yu saw tears in his eyes. His expression was extremely painful, as if he saw the most important person. He trembled all over after not seeing him for a long time. Maybe in his world, he had completely lost Wu Yu and the others. He fell into his own memories, or memories that did not exist at all. Do it, Nanshan Wanjiao reminded. Wu Yu knew that it would be difficult to maintain such a deep mental collapse for a long time. After all, Nanshan Wanjiao was not created by the illusion created by the many magic arrays in the heavenly demon emperor's palace, but by the phantom demon I. 9 tribulations burning the heaven and shattering the prison. At this time, he used the violent technique he had reserved before, and the force increased instantly. Everything was shattered above the head of the blood-poison guest, including his body and spirit. Wu Yu's main attack was the most dazzling and the most brutal. Behind the blood-poison guest, the devouring heaven body used the 10,000 dragons chaos devouring heaven array. As the beaming emperor's palace changed, tens of thousands of dragons whizzed past the blood-poison guest, absorbing its temperature and making its body extremely cold. Wu Yu's 9 tribulations burning the heaven and shattering the prison was indeed the hottest and the most brutal. These 2 attacks, one before and one after, the opponent did not resist at all and had to bear it completely. In addition, on the left, the sunset arrow of the bow and arrow spirit master came hot, and the huge scorching sun engulfed the blood-poison guest. On the right, Yezixi also made a move. She mainly used the 2-polar Taiye sword to activate the Taiye Taiji sword wheel. The huge sword wheel rotated horizontally, trying to tear the blood-poison guest in half instantly. The 4 must-kill attacks, almost at the same time, all fell on the blood-poison guest in an instant. Perhaps before the danger of death, this guy was alert, so he suddenly opened his eyes and saw all the attacks in front of him. At this time, although his face could not be seen clearly, cold sweat could be seen on his neck. No. Of course, Wu Yu also saw his extremely terrified eyes. Even though this guy has powerful means and is sure to kill everyone in Wu Yu knows in his heart that he will definitely pay a heavy price for underestimating something like the Phantom Eye. It is the treasure of the demon god, even though it cannot be fully exploited. Wu Yu also feels that such a confident guy cannot resist it. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Although the opponent was frightened, even at the last moment, he wanted to activate the Blood Demon Zhangji formation to launch a defense, but it was too late. The 10,000 Dragons Chaos Sky Devouring formation had already frozen his body, and then, unprepared, he was torn into 2 pieces by Yezixi's sword wheel, and then his whole head was smashed by the sunset arrow. Finally, the 9 tribulations burning heaven shattering prison came and destroyed them all with one blow. Call. In the first moment, Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body enveloped the opponent's body, then swallowed it and grew stronger. For him, a cultivator at the 4th level of the 3 disaster realm, this was an absolute tonic. When the blood poisoner died in battle, the ice blood hell he arranged instantly melted into the sea water, but the blood color did not disappear, causing the entire surrounding ocean to look like a sea of blood. Get out of here first. After Wu Yu and the others, including the sky-swallowing body, packed up their trophies, they quickly boarded the Yingxian, hid in it, and quickly left here. The sky-swallowing body still needed to be digested, but Wu Yu estimated that after swallowing it, the swallowing sky body with the body of the sky will obviously be stronger, reaching the same level as the real body. In this way, he can enter the floating tower and challenge stronger puppets. When the time comes, when dealing with the 4th level of the Dao realm, the main body, the sky-swallowing body, and the puppet, there will definitely be no need to be as passive as today. There were a lot of trophies today. First of all, there were 3 black demon shields, which were spiritual Taoist tools. Wu Yu divided them up and said, keep them for now, maybe they will be useful later. In addition, there were some Taoist artifacts, fairy spirits, elixirs, talismans, treasures, etc. Wu Yu basically shared them equally among the 3. After all, this was a trophy shared by everyone. The most valuable one among them is the blood demon Zhangji. Wu Yu is not short of this spiritual weapon. Yezixi also has 380,000 Liangji Taiye sword, so he takes the blood demon Zhangji he gave Nanshan Wanjiao and said, to kill this opponent today, you are the most important, and this fighting weapon is barely like a rake. Just use it? Okay, it's just that I don't have a spiritual weapon. This thing is very cool and powerful. It suits me, haha. All three of them now use long weapons. Whichever area they left, they no longer received attention. After sorting out the trophies, Nanshan Wanjiao raised his eyebrows and said, "Tell me, who wants our lives? To be assassinated? This is exciting." Wu Yu said, "The only possibility is Emperor Yan. There were more conflicts last time. The other party is also afraid of me assisting Emperor Yu. But this kind of thing is not certain. Maybe there are other people who want to use the knife to kill people. What should we do? Just sit and wait for death?" Yezixi was a little scared. Wu Yu looked in the direction of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom and said, "Maybe we will know who it is when we return to the capital of gods." "It makes sense, guessing here is useless." Nanshan Wanjiao also nodded, and then he looked in the direction of the divine capital with a smile and said, "That's great, I can return to the divine capital soon, my little brother. I'm already so hungry and thirsty." "Who is your little brother?" Yezixi asked ignorantly. "Don't pay attention to this pervert." Wu Yu smiled. "Children don't understand, so don't ask so many questions." Nanshan Wanjiao replied arrogantly. "I don't want to know your dirty thoughts." No matter what, the Yingxian was already approaching the Yanhuang ancient territory. Wu Yu had already seen the land of the Yanhuang ancient territory and could see the existence of the huge southern imperial city. "I've been away from Chengdu for a while." Wu Yu squinted his eyes. He probably won't go back to the Nanyan Empire, and he doesn't know what kind of disturbance there will be when he comes back to Chengdu this time. Judging from this assassination, he doesn't think it will be too peaceful. No matter what, at noon that day, Wu Yu and the other three got off the Yingxian and went directly to the beach of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. In front of them was the entrance to the southern imperial city. This was regarded as entering the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. It was slightly easier to enter than to come out. It's a bit troublesome, but it will obviously be much easier since Wu Yu has the regent's exit documents with him. But it is not that easy for outsiders to sneak into the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1002. Outside the borders of the southern imperial city, many ascetics gathered. Most of these monks are staying here temporarily, waiting for their identities and information to be reviewed within the southern imperial city. Only by passing will they be allowed into it. However, at least it is safe to wait here, because this is the control area of the Yanhuang tribe. No one, or sea monsters, can run wild here. It was just waiting, so thousands of people were here, gathering in twos and threes. When Wu Yu and the others arrived here in a low-key manner, they headed towards the passage of the southern imperial city. What they heard the most along the way was the news about the Nanyan Empire and Huangzhun. This immortal phoenix beast has never appeared in the records of Jambu world. I really don't know where it came from, and two of them appeared at once. It's really terrifying. Not only did all the demon lords in Nanyan demon continent surrender and let her be their master, but they also killed the 8 demon lords of the demon sea, including the storm demon emperor. It is said that the storm demon emperor is still alive. Never showed up. These days, all the major empires of cultivating immortals in the Yanhuang ancient territory have not responded. This can be regarded as tacit approval of the establishment of the Nanyan Empire. I guess that is the case, otherwise, someone will always suppress the Phoenix Lord. Don't be kidding, Phoenix Lord is so powerful. Apart from the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, I really don't know who can be stronger than her. The 8 masters of the demon sea were defeated by her together. I am afraid that this immortal phoenix will all become its amazing. It is said that Princess Huangzi is really beautiful. Now in Nanyan Yazhu, one person is inferior to 10,000 people. If anyone can become the husband of Princess Huangzi, it will be a leap to heaven. Stop thinking nonsense. If you don't have the talent to match her, how can you become her Taoist companion? This Princess Huang 11 will be the future emperor of the Nanyan Empire. It's not like our Yanhuang ancient kingdom, which has so many emperors. The emperor's daughter has no idea who will be the new emperor of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom in the future. Perhaps, there is hope for Emperor Kairu. But it is Emperor Kairu who is so powerful, and it has nothing to do with Emperor Kairu. It's too early to say that. According to me, the emperor's son and the envoy are too young. They can't participate in the real battlefield. They had no idea that Wu Yu was passing by them when he said this. I heard that the emperor's envoy went to Nanyan Demon Continent. I don't know if he can come back alive. Nanyan Demon Continent is in such turmoil. It would be ridiculous if it disappeared from now on. When he said this, Wu Yu walked into the huge passage of the southern imperial city. There were at least 5,000 Nanyan guards from the Nanyan Legion in the southern imperial city stationed here to maintain order in the passage. Of course, there are also a large number of prosecutors. If you want to enter the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, you must provide various documents that can prove your identity. Anyway, the process is very cumbersome, but Wu Yu has the exit documents from the regent in his hand. When the three of him lined up and arrived when one of the prosecutors came in front of them, the prosecutor lowered his head and did not look at them. His tone was not very good. While fiddling with the things in his hands, he said, "Take out all the things. Hurry up, don't wait, wait in line, there are so many people." Wu Yu took out the exit document and put it on his desk. The prosecutor opened it impatiently and asked, "Is that all?" When he opened it, he was startled. He quickly looked up at Wu Yu and the other three, his face turned pale with fright, and said, "It turns out to be the envoy of the emperor. I'm sorry for my poor eyesight, but I didn't recognize the envoy of the emperor. I went to the envoy of the emperor, forgive me." As he said that, he was about to kneel down to Wu Yu. At the same time, he seemed to have sent out a communication talisman. Just as Wu Yu asked him to stand up, there was a middle-aged man with advanced cultivation and wearing fiery red armor in the distance. He quickly stepped forward and said to Wu Yu, "Welcome back to the Emperor's envoy. I am the Tianlong General Zhuyi of the Nanyan army. I heard that the Emperor's envoy left Yanhuang from the Nandi imperial city, so our southern emperor asked me to pay attention here. Welcome the return of the Emperor's envoy, and ask the Emperor's envoy to follow the villain." Go in directly. Wu Yu thought that coming back would be very cumbersome. Unexpectedly, the southern emperor simply let people watch here to welcome Wu Yu's return. Zhu Teng smiled and said, "That's natural. The envoy of the emperor is the pillar of the country, so he is certainly different from ordinary people. Please follow me directly back to Yanhuang." To be honest, the Tianlong generals of a legion are second only to the legion commander. For example, in the Yanlong Legion, there are only a few Tianlong generals in total. The strength of this Jew is unfathomable. It is obviously not as good as the blood poison Wu Yu and others killed before. The customer is weak. However, he was very respectful to himself. Wu Yu didn't say much. Of course, going back was the most important thing, so he followed Zhu Meng through numerous national boundary formations, withstood the review and test of the formations, and finally returned to the southern imperial city. On the way, Zhu Meng was respectful. He said to Wu Yu, Emperor Yu, Emperor Nan has always wanted to see you after he heard that you came to the imperial city of Nan Emperor. Therefore, he told the villain to welcome Emperor Envoy Emperor Yu to the palace of Emperor Nan after he returns. Emperor Nan wants to see you." The emperor sent an envoy. Emperor Nan is one of the younger brothers of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, no less than the regent and Emperor Yuan Tian. Why is he so sincere and wants to see him? Now Wu Yu is in the southern imperial city. The ruler here wants to see him, and he is also the emperor's uncle. It is impossible for Wu Yu not to go when summoned by such an elder. After all, the other party still intends to invite him warmly. Face must always be given. Besides, he is not in a hurry to return to the capital of gods now. After all, there is no special arrangement for the future. He mainly wants to practice in peace. As for the emperor's seizure of the throne, Wu Yu actually thinks that this matter is still a long way off, and there is no need to worry about it now. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. He knows that the ancient emperor Yanhuang is very scary and may even be observing him, but he still has to go back to the capital of gods, because he knows that if he really wants to deal with him now, he will have nowhere to escape to. Maybe the ancient demon world will be useful. In fact, when Wu Yu came back from the gate of the ancient demon world, he thought of it. If I am forced into a desperate situation by the ancient emperor Yanhuang, I will go to the ancient demon world. I don't believe that he can still chase me to the ancient demon world. At least now, he has a way out, which is a little bit of capital. Of course, he doesn't know whether the ancient emperor Yanhuang knows about the gate of the ancient demon world. He didn't really understand what the Yanhuang ancient emperor was. Under the leadership of Zhu Wang, Wu Yu came to the magnificent and domineering southern emperor's palace, where golden flame lion statues could be seen everywhere, lifelike and majestic. The entire southern emperor's palace was like a huge Taoist artifact, with magic arrays carved everywhere, and it was very solid. This was the core area of the southern emperor's city, and the spiritual energy was particularly rich. However, after Wu Yu had seen the spiritual energy of the ancient demon world, he could only say that this was still a paradise. In the most magnificent golden lion hall of the southern emperor's palace, the southern emperor had heard the news and had been waiting for Wu Yu. Wu Yu and the other two came here and met the southern emperor. They imagined that this should be a supreme being like the regent, cold and intimidating, or like Emperor Yuan Tian, domineering, proud, and high above. Unexpectedly, when he really met him, Wu Yu was a little surprised. Although this person had white hair and beard, he had a youthful face and was very energetic. He was wearing simple cloth clothes and had the aura of a scholar. He looked like a kind scholar, with a warm smile on his face, which made people feel like being bathed in spring breeze. As soon as they met, they felt very close. The emperor's envoy, you are here. My humble home is honored. When Wu Yu arrived, he even greeted him in person and took Wu Yu into the Golden Lion Hall. Wu Yu was okay with polite words. He exchanged pleasantries with the southern emperor for a while. At this time, the southern emperor had asked the beautiful maids to serve fine wine and delicacies, and asked the beauties to dance to entertain Wu Yu. Wu Yu was not interested in this, but Nanshan Wanjiao was immediately attracted by it. Whether it was delicious food, fine wine, or enchanting beauties, they were all his favorites. At this time, eating, drinking and having fun were very enjoyable. The southern emperor didn't talk about business with Wu Yu. He first asked about his well-being and talked about some unimportant things, such as what materials the fine wine in his hand was brewed with, and asked Wu Yu to take some back to taste, or which top chef made the food, and then talked about the dancing beauties, what cultivation they each had, what school they came from, and how they could feel the way of heaven and earth through dancing, etc., which was very relaxed. But Wu Yu probably felt that he actually wanted to get to know him and see his background. I heard that Nanyan Demon Continent is quite lively these days. Envoy, you just came back from there. I wonder what he gained. The southern emperor asked about this matter inadvertently. Wu Yu had been prepared for this and said, I wanted to find an old friend this time, but I didn't expect to recognize the wrong person. At that time, I heard that the heavenly demon emperor's mansion appeared, so we also wanted to go and try our luck. I didn't expect that the Phoenix Lord suddenly appeared. It was so terrible. There were demons everywhere. In order to save our lives, we hid first. If we want to say that we have gained something, we can say it is. After all, we have seen the battle of the most terrible strong. As for the phantom demon pupil and the gate to the ancient demon world, Phoenix Lord didn't know, and Wu Yu would not let him know. Is that Phoenix Lord really as powerful as the legend says, defeating the 8 lords of the Demon Sea alone? The Southern Emperor asked. Wu Yu nodded and said, I saw it with my own eyes. It is indeed terrifying. The Southern Emperor shook his head and smiled, saying, the Storm Demon Emperor was already a headache for me, and now there is the Southern Yin Empire. It seems that the south of our ancient Yanhuang country is not as peaceful as before. Wu Yu smiled and said, that may not be the case. After all, the Southern Yin Empire and the Storm Demon Sea will restrain each other. That makes sense. The Southern Emperor smiled slightly, then toasted Wu Yu again, and then talked about other things. After about an hour, Wu Yu saw that the time was almost up. The gathering with the Southern Emperor did not discuss anything substantial, and the other party was a little unpredictable. Wu Yu was about to leave, and then a beautiful and charming woman came out, wearing a veil and very dignified. Today there are 3 chapters in total. In addition, the 9th volume was renamed from Blood Battle God Capital to Pilgrimage of All Nations. Pilgrimage, what does it mean? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1003. This is my little girl Nanju. When the woman walked in, Dinantian introduced her enthusiastically. It turned out to be Princess Nanju, the precious daughter of Dinantian. Wu Yu didn't know this person, but Nanshan Wanjiao knew him. He quietly told Wu Yu, this is one of the famous beauties in Yanhuang. Her talent is also very good. She can be said to be the top of the Yanhuang ancient domain. She has almost reached the level of 3 disasters. Those who are less than 100 years old and who can reach the peak of the realm of Yuan-Shen are the top geniuses in the entire Jamfa world. According to what Nanshan Wanjiao said, Princess Nanju is also a genius of this type. Many sons and daughters of emperors may not reach this level, but there is still hope of becoming immortals in the future. Although she was covered with a veil, Wu Yu's gaze could penetrate her. As expected, both her face and figure were outstanding, and her temperament was particularly outstanding. She was dignified, elegant, and charming. This kind of princely bloodline is definitely not something that ordinary women can compare with. There were many outstanding geniuses in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, half of them were the sons and daughters of emperors, and among the other half, Princess Nanju was probably one of the top geniuses. Wu Yu looked at her, and from her eyes and expression, it could be seen that she had a calm heart, neither happy nor angry, which is also a very good spiritual mentality. She briefly greeted Wu Yu and others without disturbing them, then sat down on the side without saying much. Wu Yu wanted to leave, but his attention was not as good as watching the moon on Nanshan Mountain. He was completely focused on the beauty and almost drooled. After chatting with Emperor Nantian for a while, Wu Yu said goodbye and returned to the capital of gods. Dinantian did not embarrass or try to persuade him. He saw off the guests politely and asked someone to bring him a gift. It was a samurai bag, which he was going to hand over to Wu Yu. Please give me a small gift, please accept it. This is. Unexpectedly, he also gave him a gift. Wu Yu opened it slightly and saw that there were at least 1,000 God-asking pills inside. He was a little surprised and quickly refused, saying, "Thank you Nan Emperor for your kindness, but this gift it's too heavy and I can't take it." When it comes to asking for magic pills, of course the more the better, but the problem is that Wu Yu doesn't want to owe the other party any favors, so even though these properties are easy to get, he still refuses. Okay, it's enough if the Emperor understands my intention. However, let me send the 3 of them out of the city. The 3 of them cannot refuse. Emperor Nan did not insist on the gift at all. This way made people are very comfortable. Therefore, he asked Princess Nanju to send him away, and of course Wu Yu could not refuse. You young people, you can chat more and maybe make friends, Nandai Wang said with a smile. Wu Yu actually thought in his heart that maybe the Southern Emperor was trying to find out what his abilities were, so that he could align himself among the emperors and sons in the future. Maybe he also thought that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang might have some special and unknown reasons. Choosing the emperor's son, he has a huge role in it, so he wants to understand himself. Of course, he does this process quietly. Actually, since the other party showed kindness to me first, I can win over him at this time and ask him to help Emperor Keiru more. Wu Yu had such an idea in his heart, but he did not do so. First of all, he might be interested in Keiru. The emperor's son was not particularly interested in seizing the emperor, especially after he felt the pressure brought by the Yanhuang ancient emperor. Second, when it comes to forming cliques, it is enough to let Emperor Yu do it in person. Wu Yu feels that these people are cunning, and he is not good at this either. Therefore, his interaction with Emperor Nan today was considered to have come to an end. Under the farewell of the Nan Emperor, Wu Yu left the Nan Emperor's mansion, and then Princess Nanju sent Wu Yu out of the city. Please come this way. Princess Nanjuan did not take a too fast approach, but took Wu Yu and the others out of the southern imperial city from the streets of the southern imperial city as if taking a walk. This place is extremely lively, and Princess Nanju is very famous. Everyone who sees her bows respectfully and gets out of the way. Old Wu, what kind of medicine is sold in this southern emperor's gourd? Seeing as you don't have a Taoist companion now, I want to create an opportunity for you and his daughter to get it, Nanshan Wanjiao asked thiefly. To be honest, Wu Yu felt that his words were rough and unreasonable. He thought so at first, but now that he has walked a short distance, Princess Nanju doesn't talk much, so he may not be interested in it. Of course, these are all their guesses. There are slightly fewer people in the city now. In a few days, not only the divine capital, but also the southern imperial city will be several times more lively. It will not be that easy to maintain the peace here. After all, it will be there are too many cluttered people. Just as he was talking, Princess Nanju spoke. It was quite awkward along the way, but the other person spoke first, so of course Wu Yu had to talk to him. He walked side by side with this dignified and fairy-like beauty, attracting the envious eyes of almost all passers-by, and many people took a look. Don't know who they are yet. Why did the princess say this? Princess Nanju glanced at him in surprise. Her voice was as soft as the breeze blowing on her face. She said, in a while, it will be the pilgrimage of all nations. It has been some time since you came to Yanhuang. For such an important event as the pilgrimage of all nations, don't you know the date? Not only Wu Yu didn't know this, but Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also didn't know. One of them has been imprisoned in prison since he can remember, and the other grew up in the lava hell. Who knows what a pilgrimage of all nations is? So the three of them shook their heads in confusion. Seeing the three of them moving so neatly, Princess Nanju smiled slightly and said, it seems that the three of them don't care much about things other than cultivation. No wonder they are so powerful. The pilgrimage of all nations is of great significance to the entire world of Yanfu. It is a first-class event. Every time the ancient emperor personally issued an order, it would only be held in the city of God every 10 years or so. However, the last pilgrimage of all nations happened to be more than 8 years ago, a month ago. The ancient emperor issued another edict, so this time it was slightly ahead of schedule. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu and the others still don't know what this pilgrimage from all nations is about. But because it was related to the ancient emperor Yan and Huang, Wu Yu paid special attention to it. It sounds like the time when the pilgrimage of all nations will be carried out depends entirely on the wishes of the ancient emperor. As Wu Yu understood, the current ancient emperor Yanhuang was like a god in the entire Yanfu world, and he was the only one who would rarely appear. Seeing that Wu Yu and the others were still confused, Princess Nanju said gently, it seems that you know nothing about the pilgrimage of all nations. Then I will say a few more words. Before you return to the divine capital, you might as well have someone mental preparation. Thank you very much, Wu Yu said. As Princess Nanjuan walked, she introduced, the so-called pilgrimage of all nations. You should be able to guess that this holy is naturally our Yanhuang ancient emperor. The ancient emperor is a well-deserved overlord in the entire world of Yanfu. The word Chao is of course Qi. As for Wanguo, it is actually an exaggeration. Of course, there are actually quite a few. This includes almost all the monastic empires in the Yanhuang ancient territory, regardless of whether they are monastic, or they are ghost cultivators, or demon empires, or some small forces that cannot be called kingdoms. Some monastic sects, Cave Heaven and Blessed Land, are all called all nations, including among them, such a large and small strength, in the Yanhuang ancient territory. Yes, there are probably thousands of them. According to what she said, Wu Yu remembered that he had encountered a place called Blue Wing Storm Valley on the Teku Immortal Road, which was also included. Including small countries such as Snow Realm and Cloud Fairy Kingdom. Of course, behemoths like the Baiming Empire are also included. All the forces in the Yanhuang ancient territory came to the Yanhuang ancient kingdom to pay homage to the ancient emperor under the order of the ancient emperor. Is this the pilgrimage of all nations? Wu Yu was a little shocked. He didn't understand what it was about. Level, but even if those people are willing to come, this has already shown the terror of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. After all, this is worship. Princess Nanju said, of course it's not just that. Most of the demons in the sea are also within the scope of the edict. Especially in the recent pilgrimages of all nations, the demons in the sea are basically present, whether it is the eternal sea, the sea of death, or the sea of storm demons, etc., all need to send people to worship and send tribute to show respect and surrender to the ancient emperor. Hearing this, Wu Yu had already imagined the scene of this grand event. The three of them were now filled with deep shock. Maybe it was not until this moment that Wu Yu truly understood the power of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. His edict can be said to require all the heroes in the world to send personnel to come to the Yanhuang ancient kingdom to worship him, including not only big countries like the Baiming Empire, but also many ghost cultivators, demons, and even demons from the sea. I believe that if every pilgrimage from all nations is so successful, there won't be any force that dares to fight against the ancient Emperor Yanhuang and doesn't want to come forward. This is amazing. Wu Yu really didn't expect that there would be such a thing in this Yanfu world. Moreover, the time of this pilgrimage was completely determined by the ancient Emperor Yanhuang himself. Tribute. You just said that all nations will not only come, but also bring tribute. Nanshan Wanjiao thought he heard wrongly. Princess Nanju nodded, looking a little proud, and said, that's natural. If they don't bring tribute, then why do they need to come to worship? Every time the world makes a pilgrimage, they have to bring out treasures that reflect the value of their country. Come and contribute to the ancient emperor. For example, some large monastic empires have to prepare at least thousands of spiritual Taoist tools, and they even have to send Holy Spirit Taoist tools, as well as pills, fairy spirits, talismans, treasures, magic circles and other tributes. Small countries can afford less, but no one dares to take less. After all, these are all directly accepted by the ancient emperor. The ancient emperor must know who is missing, at least for hundreds of years. No one dares to mess around. Some people have been careless, but they have paid the price. Princess Nanju's words really made Wu Yu realize that although he had repeatedly found ancient Emperor Yanhuang to be terrifying, he was still exceeding his expectations. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1004. Without her going into detail, Wu Yu knew that there might be people who didn't come or pay tribute from the beginning, but as she said, these people had already paid the price. To this day, no one dares not to come. About once every 10 years, the ancient Emperor Yanhuang would ask almost all the powerful forces in the world of Jamfu to come and deliver treasures. This is a bit like paying protection money. It is said that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang has maintained his current state and level for more than 1,000 years. Even within 1,000 years, all major forces have paid tribute hundreds of times, so to this day, it is basically a daily task. Judging from the relaxed tone of Princess Nanjuan, the pilgrimage of all nations will definitely go smoothly. When the time comes, all the forces will definitely come to worship and strive to send treasures, at least to the extent that matches their status. Otherwise, as Princess Nanju said, you will pay the price. In this way, in the world of Yanfu, the ancient Emperor Yanhuang was not the transcendent existence that Wu Yu originally imagined. His tyranny is reflected in this place. Holy shit, this is really awesome, it's just like. Nanshan Wanjia wanted to say that he was a big bully, but thinking of the Yanhuang tribe's respect for the Yanhuang ancient emperor, he held back. But Princess Nanju knew what his exaggerated tone meant. She said in a slightly lower voice, "Don't misunderstand the ancient emperor. The ancient emperor deserves these tributes. In fact, up to now, our Yanhuang tribe is no better than the others, are much stronger. But they can dominate because of the existence of the ancient emperor. In fact, with the strength of the ancient emperor, he wants to destroy all the Taoist empires. There is no problem for the Yanhuang tribe to control the entire Yanhuang ancient territory, and even the entire Yanfu world, but he did not do this. For this reason alone, people from other countries should be grateful that they can still exist and have not been exterminated. Second, because of the shock of the ancient emperor, many people who wanted to expand their territory and bully the weak monastic empire did not dare to mess around. This is also the reason why there are relatively few wars in the Yanhuang ancient territory. From this point of view, every time they make a pilgrimage, the tributes sent are really not that much. All in all, the fact that the world of Jambu can remain in a relatively peaceful era, where everyone is qualified to practice Taoism, and no one is enslaved, is all due to the ancient emperor. The world of Jamfu will definitely be in chaos, so they should really be sincere and send big gifts. What Princess Nanju said was right. The ancient emperor Yanhuang was so powerful that everyone else had to thank him for not killing him, and the second point was that his deterrent effect also existed. There is also a third point. For example, the ancient demon god who appeared in the lava hell last time was also solved by ancient Emperor Yanhuang. That's true. As people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, we are really happy. We are superior to others in every aspect, haha. Nanshan Wanjia couldn't help but laugh. In fact, although he was laughing, he also roughly knew Wu Yu's situation. They were on the same boat as Wu Yu now, and Wu Yu's crisis was also his crisis, so he was actually a little depressed. Because during their discussion, that terrifying existence might be their enemy. Well, if we encounter such a pervert, we might as well clean up and hide in the ancient demon world. He rolled his eyes at Wu Yu and said secretly. Of course, Wu Yu would not be frightened like this. Furthermore, his hometown is Dongsheng Shenzhou, where his relatives and masters live. It would be difficult for him to truly go to another world, especially when the ancient demon world is so terrifying. If Wu Yu and the others go, it will be even harder to survive. In fact, for Yezixi, the more powerful the ancient Emperor Yanhuang is, the more angry and resentful she feels, and the hatred for killing her parents. This is the pain and anger that cannot be erased in her heart. She has no city, and even at this time her eyes were bloodshot, and she looked a little gloomy. At this time, she murmured, the Yanhuang tribe, except for the ancient emperor, is not much more powerful than other tribes, especially there are many sea monsters. If one day, the ancient emperor leaves and go and disappear here, aren't you afraid? What she said was actually angry. She naturally wanted to curse the Yanhuang ancient emperor to die. However, Princess Nanju could not tell. She seemed to have heard an innocent question and said with a smile, "You don't know this. I heard that the ancient emperor has become an immortal long ago and is now an immortal existence. He will not leave easily. Even if he gives up the throne of Yanhuang to the emperor, he will protect Yanhuang. Even if he may leave in the future and go to heaven, in fact, it will be the birth of a new one in our Yanhuang, comparable to the existence of the ancient emperor. For countless years, among our Yanhuang clan, among the royal family, in each generation, a god will be born to protect the entire Jambu world. This has never been interrupted. The previous generation of Yanhuang emperor, and it was only after the ancient emperor came to dominate that he left for heaven one day." Hearing this, Minglong also said, "It seems like this. In my time, the Yanhuang tribe also had a very terrifying existence. Of course, at that time, he seemed to be living in legends and basically never appeared. No, this time the ancient emperor Yanhuang loves to show off his face. No wonder the Yanhuang clan is so prosperous and still occupies such a good land. It turns out that this kind of perversion occurs in every generation of the royal family." She was not very clear about this before. In her time, the guardians of the Yanhuang tribe basically disappeared, let alone any pilgrims from all nations. Wu Yu also had no doubt that the ancient emperor Yanhuang was already a god. But can he go to heaven? According to legend, if you become a god, you can go to heaven, and it is said that you will be summoned by heaven immediately. Wu Yu didn't know before that gods could still stay in the mortal world. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. As for the Yanhuang royal family, every generation can produce a god. He didn't know that. At least from the emperor's sons and daughters he knew, they might all have the potential to be gods, but there really wasn't anyone who attracted everyone's attention. He felt that he would definitely become a god in the future. People. At this time, Princess Nanju was almost reaching the gate of Nandi Imperial City. She suddenly stopped and looked at Wu Yu. "What's wrong?" Wu Yu asked. Princess Nanjuan stared at him and asked formally, "Do you have any doubts in your heart? Do you also feel that among the current emperor's sons and daughters, there is no one who seems to be superior to everyone, who is extremely talented, arrogant, and dominates the world? Exist?" I didn't expect that she knew what she was thinking. Of course, she was guessing. Wu Yu nodded and said, "As you mentioned, that's pretty much it." Princess Nanjuan smiled faintly, she knew it well, but at this time, she lowered her voice, came up to Wu Yu, and said almost word for word, "Actually, you don't have to be surprised. I heard from my father that the current ancient emperor, he was not so transcendent at first, he was very ordinary, and he was not a legitimate son. In terms of talent, he was a little worse than my father. Then, one day, with the help of God, he surpassed everyone in an instant, and then flew away. Soaring to the sky, until the new emperor is established, he is invincible except for the previous emperor. It is said that by that time, he has become an immortal." Regarding this truth, Wu Yu could only describe it as shocked. He thought that the ancient emperor Yanhuang was a man who rebelled against heaven from the beginning. I believe everyone will think so, and this is even the current rumor in the world. If you ask anyone now, they will probably say that the ancient emperor Yanhuang has been a heaven-defying existence since he was a child. Only brothers like Dinantian will know the truth. Princess Nanjuan continued, "And all of this seems to have happened after my grandfather suddenly paid attention to the ancient emperor. It is said that the situation at that time was a little similar to today's emperor, for example, in person arranging an imperial envoy for him, or there is always some involvement, so, emperor envoy, do you know what I mean? Although most people in Yanhuang now don't know such secrets, my father still knows. Yes. The emperor is very special now, and you are also very special. My father believes that this kind of specialness is just the beginning of a myth. Therefore, we believe that the son of the emperor will be the next emperor of the Yanhuang royal family, the next, immortal. At this moment, Wu Yuk finally understood why Dinantian wanted to get close to him. In fact, Emperor Yu himself may not even know what Princess Nanju said today, because few people dare to talk about the past of the ancient Yanhuang emperors. Those who really know must be people from a long time ago, and the people at that time are almost dead now, and it is impossible for many people to believe that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang was ordinary in the beginning. And Dinantian knew. Therefore, from this point of view, he is completely optimistic about the new myth that Emperor Yu's son will achieve. And he may feel that he will be the most crucial part of this myth. In the future, I will shine as brightly as Emperor Raku, surpassing all the sons and daughters of emperors. Pilgrimage from all nations, the truth about the ancient emperors of Yan and Huang, and the future gods of the Yanhuang royal family. Today, Princess Nanju revealed a lot of information to Wu Yu. Envoy of Emperor Yu, after returning to the capital of the gods, keep in touch and say hello to Emperor Yu on behalf of my father. At this time, Princess Nanju took out some talismans and gave them to Wu Yu. Okay. Wu Yu accepted it. He is a little confused now and has to deal with such a large amount of information. Next, he, Nanshan Wanjiao and Minglong need to discuss and analyze it. At least Wu Yu felt that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang did not necessarily choose him to make Emperor Yu's son the new Yanhuang immortal. Moreover, he also doubted, how could a person go from ordinary to surpassing all competitors and become immortal in one step? Just like Nangong Wei. He was also very curious about the method. At this time, they had left the Nandi imperial city. Before saying goodbye, Princess Nanju said, actually, the pilgrimage of all nations is not just as simple as sending tributes. Every pilgrimage is actually a big gathering of the entire Jambu world. When the time comes, you representing the Yanhuang royal family, there are many tasks. All the talented and powerful people in the world of Jambu will gather in the divine capital. To be honest, those who come want to prove themselves for their country and ethnic group, and also want to vent their anger. The grievances of the tributes, when the time comes, they will think of many ways to give us Yanhuang some challenges on formal occasions in an attempt to humiliate us. Every pilgrimage is wonderful, but the ancient emperor does not care about this, so they must be a bit unscrupulous. Well, to put it bluntly, for us young people, it will be the day when we alone resist the challenges of young people from all over the world and defend the honor and face of our Yanhuang tribe. You also have a responsibility, Emperor Yu. Defend. Wu Yu couldn't put this word into words. There are 2 chapters in total today. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1005. After seeing Princess Nanju farewell, Wu Yu and the others boarded the Yingxian and flew over the Yanhuang ancient kingdom to the Yanhuang divine capital, the core of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom in the central divine continent. Originally, when traveling within the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, with Wu Yu's identity, there was no need to use the Yingxian to hide. However, in view of the last assassination incident, in order to feel at ease, Nanshan Wanjiao activated the Yingxian's concealment circle and returned to the divine capital quietly. Standing on the deck of the Yingxian, leaning on the side of the ship with both hands, I looked down at the magnificent mountains and rivers of the ancient Yanhuang country. In the field of vision, there are countless towns and cave heaven paradise. This is a world where all people practice Taoism. Even the hunters in the smallest village have the cultivation level of the later Qi condensation realm. Otherwise, they will be helpless in the mountains and wilderness, and they will become adults at any time. Demonic Beast. In the slightly larger city, there are cultivators from the Kanghai realm of Zifu. There will even be those in the state of Yuan Shen's transformation. The Yanhuang ancient territory is divided into many palaces. In each palace, the palace lord is like an overlord and also holds the palace army. In each palace, most children born to civilians aim to become the palace army. Guangzhou Yezu. And the land of Yufu is actually very vast. Most people have never stepped out of this land. Yanhuang ancient territory is different from Dongsheng Shenzhou. The territory of Dongsheng Shenzhou is also very vast, one-third of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, but in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, almost every inch of land has the presence of cultivators, and every inch of land is equivalent to the blessed land of Dongsheng Shenzhou. And Dongsheng Shenzhou, part of it is the 3,000 immortal kingdom that is rare for monks, and most of it is inaccessible and desolate wilderness. In many places, it is actually a waste. Maybe it's because the pilgrimage of all nations is about to begin, and I always feel that the people down there are more lively. This ancient Yanhuang country is really a good place. With the protection of the ancient emperor, no matter who is born here, there will be opportunities to practice Taoism, and there will be various opportunities for cultivating Taoism. Such institutions, such as the government army and the city army, ensure personal safety to a certain extent. The monastic empire and the monastic sect are just different. Wu Yu couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the villages, towns, and cities passing by in the land below. He knew that Dongsheng Shenzhou and many demon lands did not have such conditions. For example, the Taoist sect in Dongsheng Shenzhou only cares about the internal affairs of the sect, and most often goes out to slay demons. And a complete monastic empire is a huge, tight, strict, and rigorous machine. Nanyanyas who is undergoing such a transformation. From a place where anyone can go up, now ordinary people dare not approach it. The existence of Huangzun can reduce their internal fighting, and unite them to the outside world. When this force is combined, Nanyan demon continent instantly becomes a demon empire that may surpass Beiming. In this way, more demons will be attracted to come and take refuge. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yazixi were by their side, while Lalan Mao was nestled at the highest point of the Yingxian, lying lazily basking in the sun. Don't lament that it's useless. Do you think Princess Nanju and Emperor Nan make sense in what they said about Emperor Yu's son? Emperor Yu's son is about to reach the sky in one step. Nanshan Wanjiao was depressed. Road. Wu Yu thought about it for a while. He frowned and said, first of all, one thing is certain, that is the Yanhuang royal family. Really, there will be existences like the Yanhuang ancient emperor in every generation. Of course, the Yanhuang ancient emperor of this generation may not be as strong. So in this generation of emperors, sons, and emperors there will always be one among the women who will take over the position of ancient emperor Yanhuang in the future. This is probably his biggest secret, and no one knows for sure. But do you think this person may not be the son of Emperor Yu? Nanshan Wanjiao asked. Wu Yu nodded and said, I think so for the time being. There are two reasons. First, in my opinion, all the current incidents between the ancient emperor and the emperor's son are not particularly related to the emperor's son. As long as they may have something to do with me. Relationship. Second, don't forget that I saw Emperor Yu's death on Taku Immortal Road. Although I still don't understand this at all, I think it should be taken into consideration. Anyway, the meaning is that the punishment of this generation of the Yanhuang royal family may not necessarily be the son of the emperor. There are great variables. I would say, in such a big time, how can it be so easy for the southern emperor to figure out the rules? By the way, you haven't forgotten about the assassination. Wu Yu nodded and said, of course I haven't forgotten it. In fact, I estimate that Emperor Nan's idea may have spread. So at this time, Emperor Yu is undoubtedly more popular, and there is a vague meaning of destiny. Therefore, some people are afraid we can't help it. After all, there are always some of them who are unwilling to give up, so they risk being found out by the ancient emperor and find the black demon to kill us. Yazixi worriedly said, in the future, there will be many people assassinating like this. We are also at the forefront. Wu Yu pondered for a moment and said, it may exist, but when we return to the divine capital, there will still be fewer people who dare to do it openly. The reason why we were able to assassinate us before was because we were in the sea area. After all, they're not really the protagonists. The biggest protagonist is Emperor Zi. We are involved in this whirlpool, and you have been targeted by the ancient emperor again. It is time to prepare some escape routes. For example, the ancient demon world. This may be the only place to get rid of him, Nanshan Wanjiao said. Wu Yu said, don't think about the ancient demon world for the time being. It's too dangerous there. I can't take my relatives there. It's still early, and it's not a mature time. And who knows what the real purpose of ancient Emperor Yanhuang is. For the time being, it's still, he said, let's wait and see what happens. They are now becoming more and more like brothers and sisters, and they stand together no matter what. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Maybe after a while, I will go to the ancient demon world to see clearly. Then I will find an opportunity to return to Dongsheng Divine Continent. Wu Yu realized that there was a certain possibility, and it would be dangerous if the other party beat him to it. So, he actually still has ideas. I have no worries anyway. No matter where you go, I will follow you. After all, in this Yanhuang ancient territory, there is no place for me except next to you. Nanshan Wanjiao held the back of his head with his hands and stretched out. He stretched his waist and looked at the blue sky and said lazily, Brother Yu, I have no relatives anymore. You are my relatives. Wherever you go, I will go too. From now on, we will live and die together, Yazixi said very seriously. They say things in different ways. Nanshan Wanjiao is casual, while Yazixi is affectionate and serious. But their meaning is exactly the same. Just because they have different personalities. Nanshan Wanjiao disdains to say pretentious words, after all, he considers himself a grown man. But that sentence, in this Yanhuang ancient territory, there is no place for me except beside you, which shows all his true feelings. No matter what the future holds, I will seek a way out. I will never let you have such a talent but die on the road to immortality. Wu Yu looked at them and said seriously. Perhaps, as Yazixi said, the two of them have now become Wu Yu's relatives. Wu Yu naturally couldn't let his relatives die. Fate may be cruel, but we must fight, and we must fight. Perhaps, Shendu is a place that needs fighting. All nations make pilgrimages, and powerful men from all nations pay tribute and come to the divine capital to pay homage to the ancient emperor. All heroes from the world, including sea demons, gather in the divine capital. The ancient emperor only accepts worship and accepts tributes, but the Yanhuang people, regardless of whether they are young or strong, they all need to accept the challenge of the 10,000 nations, must defend the honor of the Yanhuang clan, and must show their strength as the world overlord of Jiangfu. When the time comes, the group of people led by the emperor's sons and daughters will definitely be under great pressure. Those 10,000 nations. Young people have been holding back their energy and want to prove themselves in this grand event. Of course, it is also a way to vent their anger. So when the time comes, Wu Yu knows that he must have something to do. Although he believed that he had no intention of defending the honor of the Yanhuang tribe, he was not afraid of fighting. If you really have to fight, then fight for yourself and your loved ones. Pilgrimage from all nations, the ancient Emperor Yan and Huang, how majestic and glorious. Now the bow of the Yingxian is pointing directly in the direction of the divine capital. The pilgrimage of all nations was about to begin, and Wu Yu suddenly thought of something. Huangzun knows about the existence of the ancient emperor. The Nanyan Empire has just been established. Will she come to pay tribute? Will she bring Nangong Wei? This is one of his doubts and expectations. Logically speaking, this newly established empire will definitely come, but if Huangzun relies on his own strength and dares to challenge the ancient emperor, it will be wonderful. And he has even greater doubts and expectations. It is said that Luo Ben is now the dragon lord of the Four Seas Dragon clan, the highest king of immortal beasts in the sea, and even in the entire Jambu world. The Four Seas Dragon clan is now hiding in the sea, and is not accessible to ordinary people. Hidden overseas, I don't know if she will come to the capital of gods. Wu Yu didn't expect much whether Nangong Wei would come or not. After all, he had been to Nanyan Demon Continent, and now it was considered broken again. But Luo Bin, Wu Yu wanted to see her in his dreams. Of course, he was worried and anxious at the same time, because he knew that with his current strength, he was not worthy of her at all. Not to mention the Taoist companion, he once boasted that he would find her in Haikao within 10 years. Although there is still time, if she comes and meets her in advance, he will still look up to her. That feeling was still not good. What Wu Yu really wanted was to be on an equal footing with her. At this juncture, I suddenly remembered Nangong Wei's words on the fifth step. Although it was illusory, it was still harsh to think about it. She said that Wu Yu was just pursuing a stronger woman, that Wu Yu looked down on her because she did not have the status and talent of Luo Bin, that he had no love at all, he just pursues a stronger Taoist companion and a woman who can match him in terms of strength. So he sometimes asked himself, if Luo Bin was an ordinary person, how much would he desire her? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1006. For him who is still young now, this is indeed an unsolved mystery. However, he still has a clear understanding. First of all, that's not really her, but the method of the golden-eyed ancient demon attacking my Tao. Second, I am not a saint, but I am definitely not trash. She and I did not get together in the end. There are many reasons, but it is definitely not because I looked down on her and felt that she was not worthy of me. Thirdly, regarding Luo Bin, her strength, status, and everything about her are her own, and this is also the reason why I admire her. Everything about her cannot be separated alone. He believes that Taoist couples are not such a simple pairing. It depends on chance, fate, and various factors, and it also depends on the two people's intentions. Now he is not absolutely sure that Luo Bin will definitely be willing to get together with him. After all, Wu Yu was just an insignificant existence when they met at that time, and she was so superior that she might not even remember him today. Of course, this is a rather pessimistic thought. If she doesn't even remember him, then Wu Yu feels that there is no need to pursue her anymore. Therefore, whether Nangong Wei and Luo Bin will appear in the capital at the same time, this is Wu Yu's inner expectation, and it is also the reason why he is a little nervous, especially when facing Luo Bin. We are still some distance away from the divine capital, and now we are back to a safe place. There is a big drama in the capital of gods. Before returning to the capital of gods, you must enhance your strength to the greatest extent so that you can cope with various tests. Thinking of this, Wu Yu knew that he should take advantage of this time to do something these days. Floating Tower, Puppet. His own body has reached the 6th level of the Yuanshen realm, and he has a strength that is barely comparable to the 4th level of the Dao realm. Of course, it is really difficult to really fight with people in this realm alone, just like the last time he dealt with the blood poisoner. However, Wu Yu thanked the blood poison guest for creating his sky-swallowing body and becoming stronger. Although it is difficult to deal with the blood poison guest alone, the perfect cooperation with Wu Yu's body has unlimited possibilities. So after chatting with Nanshan Wanjiao and the others for a while, Wu Yu was preparing to enter the Fusion Tower not long after leaving the southern imperial city. In the floating life tower, the main body and the sky-swallowing body were ready to fight. Wu Yu deliberately showed the strongest fighting power in the main body before this, using the magic of heaven and earth and the immortal ape transformation. Today's Fa Tian Xiang Di can increase the size of Wu Yu's body by more than 4 times, which is close to 3 feet. This height is higher than the average 3-story attic. The body of the swallowing sky is only as high as a calf and as thick as a calf in front of the main body. This time, Wu Yu wanted to challenge the puppet after the archer spirit master. After he reached the 6th level of the Yuanshen realm, he had not yet seen what the puppet of the 8th magic circle would be. The previous sword spirit master, halberd spirit master and bow and arrow spirit master were all similar to real people, especially the bow and arrow spirit master, which was of great help on the battlefield. Wu Yu started the challenge. Every time, he was curious and eager for new puppets. The stronger the puppet becomes, the happier he becomes rather than worried. He can always conquer the puppets. The stronger the puppet, the greater the help. This time, 9 magic circles appeared again, and the 9th magic circle also gradually appeared. However, to Wu Yu's surprise, he didn't see anything. The 9th white magic circle seemed to be completely empty. Wu Yu was immediately disappointed. Could it be that among the puppets of the Fusion Tower, the archer spirit master is the strongest and that's the end of it? After all, there are still puppets in the first 8 magic circles. For example, the 8th one is the archer spirit master, which Wu Yu has challenged. But the 9th white magic circle was empty at this time, and nothing could be seen at all. If this is the case, my advantage in relying on the Fusion Tower puppet will be greatly weakened in the future. After returning from the Teku Immortal Road, the floating tower puppet actually helped him a lot, almost like having another sky-devouring body. Now, it seems that it will end after the bow and arrow spirit master. Wu Yu was a little downcast and ready to leave. Take a look with your fiery eyes. It may not be possible. Can you try challenging the white magic circle? Maybe there is something invisible. You and Nanshan Wanjiao are together, don't you know there is such a thing as invisibility? Zhe Wu. When Yu was about to leave, Ming Long's words woke him up. That's right, give it a try. So, while walking towards the white magic circle, he scanned it with his fiery eyes. Unexpectedly, he saw it as soon as he scanned it. It's not invisible. It's just that it's too small. I didn't see it just now. After using his fiery eyes, he vaguely saw something about the size of a tail fingernail in the white magic circle. That thing should be. It's still unclear what the puppet in the white magic circle is, but it is definitely a puppet. Wu Yu felt a lot more relaxed now. I just said, the Fusion Tower can change so much time, how could the puppet disappear like this? He chose to challenge the white magic circle. At this time, the other magic circles and puppets disappeared. The white magic circle immediately lost its brilliance after being the brightest, and the puppet Wu Yu wanted to challenge appeared in front of him. The fingernail-sized puppet is a black steel bug, a bit like a ladybug. The most obvious feature is that there are 7 very small star points in the carapace behind it. At this time, these star points it was flickering, sometimes very dimly. In this state, the ladybug puppet was difficult to see, but sometimes it was very bright, a bit dazzling, and Wu Yu clearly felt that among these 7 star points, there are a huge number of magic circles. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. It was finally not a real person, but it was such a small ladybug. Wu Yu could only say that it was too hidden. It is small in itself, and it also has a hidden magic circle similar to a bow and arrow puppet. It is hidden in the clothes and no one probably sees it. There is no need to put this puppet back into the floating life tower in the future. Wu Yu was very satisfied. Next, he knew that it would be time to see the true combat power of this puppet. Click, click, click. Just when Wu Yu locked on it, it suddenly vibrated violently and made a clicking sound, which was very sharp and loud. In a brief moment, Wu Yu saw the transformation of the ladybug. Under its control, its body was expanding amid mechanical changes, and many huge parts seemed to appear out of thin air. This showed that there was a very high-level Nazi magic circle in its body, hiding other parts of its body. Got up. In an instant, with a precise change, the ladybug instantly transformed from the size of a fingernail into a steel behemoth comparable to a demon. Wu Yu's body was now very small in front of it. After it grew bigger, it could be seen it became clearer that this jet black steel ladybug actually had countless patterns on its body, and those patterns were all composed of magic circles. The 7 star points on the carapace on its back were shining extremely brightly at this time, just like 7 falling stars. Under the shining stars on the ground, the interior of the floating life tower was now completely shrouded in light, obscuring much of Wu Yu's sight. This change has transformed it from a tiny little insect into a cold and bloodthirsty fighting machine in an instant. Now look at it, whether it's the sharp horn on its head, the long legs covered with barbs, or the long legs that cover its entire body. Its carapace is all made for fighting. Its eyes are bright red, and the countless compound eyes inside look very ferocious, but the shining starlight behind it makes it look extremely sacred. Iron-winged 7-star insect. Although this is a puppet, it is also a top-notch puppet and can naturally speak its own name. Such a puppet seemed to be on a level above the bow and arrow spirit lord. After seeing how powerful it was at this time, Wu Yu felt only excited. Of course, he realized that defeating this crustacean would be a real problem. However, before Wu Yu could still admire it, this guy took action directly. It can be seen that the materials that make up its body are comparable to spiritual Taoist tools. This guy's body is definitely harder than many spiritual Taoist tools, and it is supported by a large number of magic circles. Therefore, this iron-winged 7-star insect is obviously very powerful. Good at melee combat. The carapace-like iron wings on his back, the sharp horns on the top of his head, and his large number of long legs are all his melee weapons. The key is that these weapons can grow back even if they are destroyed by Wu Yu. Wu Yu was already a little eager to get this fighting machine in his pocket. But when the battle broke out, the iron-winged 7-star insect showed no mercy at all. Its terrifying close combat made it difficult for Wu Yu to deal with him. He mainly fought with his own body. In the floating tower, the two of them were burning Tianzu and his iron-winged insect. The body fights directly, making a loud bang. In the blink of an eye, Wu Yu didn't know how many moves he had with him. The opponent not only had a hard shell, but also had terrifying strength. After several confrontations, it was actually Wu Yu's body that suffered the loss. Wu Yu had not encountered him yet. There are those who are stronger than him in close combat, but the iron-winged 7-star insect is undoubtedly such a being. The power of the sky-swallowing body actually puts the puppet at a slight disadvantage. After all, it cannot be swallowed by him. However, Wu Yu was not discouraged. He had not shown his true strength just now. Only then did he start to cooperate with the sky-swallowing body. At least the coldness of Beiming Emperor's palace could freeze the iron-winged 7-star insect's magic circle. It made him sluggish, and then he was violently attacked by Wu Yu. Faced with this puppet, Wu Yu of course used all kinds of methods, including Fenshinzu's attack array and various Taoist magical powers, all of which were directed at it. The body is bombarded, but to be honest, no matter how many legs are broken, the iron-winged 7-star insect can recover. Moreover, the iron-winged 7-star insect has no attack ability. It has two major attack formations. The first is the Iron Wing Invisible Killing Array. When this formation breaks out, the pair of iron wings are like two large knives, and they turned invisible, killing and flying around, as if they were two new puppets. Wu Yu was almost chopped in half several times. The second is the 7 stars Yao Shi, which is the power of the 7 stars on its back. When the 7 stars Yao Shi appeared, there were 7 stars in the sky, as if they were communicating with the 7 stars on its back. Infused with endless power of starlight, very similar to Wu Yu's blazing eyes, and then they all exploded. Wu Yu escaped from the Tower of Floating Life and evaded this power again. However, he felt that it was still possible, so he continued to go in and continue to challenge. As long as there is still a little hope, he is unwilling to give up such a powerful fighting machine. In the imagination, this iron-winged 7-star insect usually hides in his clothes, and suddenly deforms and explodes. The lethality is still very terrifying. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Feng-Qing Yang. Chapter 1007. The battle with the iron-wing 7-star bug is destined to be a difficult battle. Wu Yu went in again, and the opponent recovered a lot. The puppet of the floating life tower is difficult to defeat unless it is smashed. However, now that he is close to the capital of the gods, there are even people who want to assassinate him, and Wu Yu is sure that it will not stop so soon. There must be someone who will continue to take the task of the black demon, so now as long as there is a glimmer of hope, he will not give up the challenge. The black demon has a rule that all the tasks that fail in assassination will be given priority to all killers, and the rewards will be increased by themselves. As long as they take the task, no matter how many killers die, someone will continue. The more people fail, the bigger the task will be, like a snowball, until the target is killed. According to legend, the black demon has a power comparable to that of the Xiaoxian Empire, but it is hidden in the major forces of the Yanhuang ancient domain, and no one knows its real base. The last blood poison guest was very powerful, so Wu Yu had to consider making his strength stronger and always exceeding the black demon's estimation of himself. Among them, the Iron Wing 7-star bug is the key. Wu Yu also saw the two major attacking magic arrays, the 7-star Yaoshi and the Iron Wing invisible killing array, and their power is indeed terrifying. Wu Yu's original body, clones, and all the clones outside the law are bombarding the Iron Wing 7-star bug at this time. He uses his original body to resist the Iron Wing 7-star bug. The Iron Wing 7-star bug can't actually defeat Wu Yu's original body. After all, Wu Yu and the Devouring Heaven body have joined forces. Now it is not a problem to defeat the fourth level of the three disasters asking the way. Unexpectedly, just when Wu Yu bombarded wildly, thinking that the opportunity was coming soon and there was still hope for bombardment, but at this time, the Iron Wing 7-star bug showed a new magic array, which seemed to be a defensive magic array. This magic array is called the 7-star Guardian Array. It can be seen that this is the foundation of the Iron Wing 7-star bug. When this magic array is running, its huge steel body actually changes again. At this moment, the stars in the sky are shining. The 7 stars are extremely bright, and the starlight instantly spreads all over the body. The entire Iron Wing 7-star bug is actually like a spherical star. This spherical star is extremely bright and dazzling. There is constant starlight flowing on it, and a large number of magic array runes are revealed. These runes are very ancient, which also shows that the owner of the floating life tower comes from an extremely ancient era. And Wu Yu also saw that this spherical star should be empty inside. It is not completely solid. If I can conquer this puppet, then obviously, this 7-star guardian formation is guarding the people I want to protect. For example, the three of us can hide in this 7-star guardian formation when we are attacked. Even if this formation is destroyed, only the Iron Wing 7-star bug is destroyed. With the floating life tower, the Iron Wing 7-star bug can still recover, which is equivalent to having an extra life. Wu Yu found that this is the biggest advantage of the Iron Wing 7-star bug, which is equivalent to a mobile fortress or a shield. Anyway, its function is much greater than the floating life tower. Wu Yu once again sighed at the mystery of the floating life tower and the power of its owner. In addition, Wu Yu also found that after the formation of this star, the Iron Wing 7-star bug still has unparalleled speed and impact ability. At this time, the shining star had just formed and rushed towards Wu Yu, just like a meteorite falling from the sky at a terrifying speed. During the impact, brilliant sparks were directly formed and instantly rushed to Wu Yu's eyes. Dang! Wu Yu's original body stood upright and hit the star with a stick. He didn't expect that the spherical star was so powerful. Just the impact caused Wu Yu's burning heaven pillar to fall out of his hand and hit his flesh body, directly destroying one of his flesh worlds. The Tianzunhuang Buddha in the world collapsed. 5 more times, Wu Yu's original body would be destroyed. However, this also aroused Wu Yu's fighting blood. He quickly got up, his eyes were blazing, and he used the magic to fight the iron-winged 7-star worm. What Wu Yu had to fight with him now was patience. He and his original body and the body of devouring heaven did not collide with the iron-winged 7-star worm head-on, but through dodging and sneak attacks, hit the 7-star guardian formation again and again. However, this 7-star protection array is indeed very stable. Wu Yu's 9 tribulations furnace burning heaven pillar was hit directly at least dozens of times, and it was only slightly shaken. Wu Yu could completely fantasize that if he could have this 7-star protection array, it is very likely that he could withstand the level of the Black Blade Demon King, that is, the 5th level of the realm of asking for the way, with all his strength. This shows that in this huge world of Yama, there are indeed not many people who can kill Wu Yu. Now my only advantage is willpower. Of course, he is a puppet, he doesn't know tiredness and fear, he can only fight. So in terms of willpower, many people think that people can't compare with puppets. Because he doesn't feel tired, he only executes orders. But Wu Yu, who has worked so hard today, is unwilling to give up. As long as he gets a chance, as long as he doesn't die, he will bombard wildly. Hard work pays off. During the 5-hour battle, his own physical world was shattered twice, but he finally broke through the 7-star guardian formation of the iron-winged 7-star bug through repeated sneak attacks and attrition, which also indirectly proved the difficulty of the 7-star guardian formation. After the 7-star guardian formation was broken, the iron-winged 7-star bug had lost all its combat power and was completely broken, and it needed to be repaired by the floating life tower. The difference between the iron-wing 7-star bug and other puppets is that it is completely based on the 7-star guardian formation. Its main formation is the 7-star guardian formation. The main formations of other puppets are responsible for coordination and control, and will not reflect their functions. The limitation of the iron-wing 7-star bug is that if the 7-star guardian formation is destroyed, it will also be broken on the spot. Other puppets will not lose their combat effectiveness due to the broken formation, but the advantage is that when they give up everything and completely for this 7-star guardian formation, the power of this 7-star guardian formation will rise by several levels. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. With this 7-star guardian formation, it is much more powerful than the 9 palaces immovable formation. Although it can only be used once in each battle, at least the floating life tower can allow the iron-wing 7-star bug to recover, it just takes time. Therefore, Wu Yu is still quite optimistic about the power of the iron-wing 7-star bug. This puppet can resist even if it faces the existence of the 5th level of the 3 disasters asking the way realm. Its effect may be temporarily stronger than Wu Yu's body and the devouring heaven body. After all, Wu Yu spent so much effort and is now exhausted to conquer this puppet. At this time, in this floating life tower, the iron-winged 7-star worm was recovered and repaired. It is estimated that it can be used in a few days. The magic of the floating life tower is also here. Another magic of the floating life tower is time. Wu Yu now chooses to heal in this floating life tower, so that he can have twice the time. The indestructible body of the 6 realms heavenly King Buddha was broken into 2 layers. With Wu Yu's body's terrifying recovery ability, it won't take long, but it will consume a lot of asking the way divine pills. Of course, this loss in exchange for the iron-winged 7-star worm is definitely worth it. At this time, the floating life tower has calmed down again. Wu Yu sat cross-legged on the ground, preparing to concentrate on recovery. Suddenly, he felt a hurricane blowing through him, and his body felt extremely uncomfortable. He looked up and saw that the magic arrays, patterns, and runes on the inner wall of the floating life tower were changing at this time. Some patterns were also changing. Suddenly, Wu Yu felt as if a river connected end to end appeared beside him. The river flowed beside him. It was already flowing very fast, but when the runes and magic arrays changed, the river instantly doubled. Whoosh! Until the speed stabilized. When the runes and magic arrays stopped changing, Wu Yu saw that the river beside him had disappeared, and the floating life tower had returned to calm. Wu Yu had clearly felt that the surroundings were a little different, but the depressed thing was that he couldn't see what was different. "I know, it's time," Ming Long said first. "You mean, after I challenged the Iron Wing 7 stars, the time inside the floating life tower changed? It used to be twice as fast as the outside world, but now..." Wu Yu showed ecstasy. "It's definitely unclear inside. Go out and burn a stick of incense and you'll know," Ming Long said lazily. Wu Yu understood. He arrived on the Yingxian and lit 2 incense sticks at the same time. Then he took one of the incense sticks and instantly came to the Fusion Tower. In the Fusion Tower, he waited for a while. After the incense stick in his hand burned a certain length, he went back outside and compared it. The incense stick outside was only 1/5 of the one inside. Wu Yu was overjoyed. This surprise came too suddenly, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "The time in the floating life tower has reached 5 times. That is to say, I practiced for 5 months inside, and only 1 month passed outside. And I practiced hard for 5 years inside, and only 1 year passed outside. Compared with others, my worst thing is time and experience, and the floating life tower almost gave me 5 times the time of my competitors." He had to sigh again. Maybe he still underestimated the floating life tower. After all, it was a magical thing from the ancient immortal road. The key is that it is quite difficult to get the floating life tower. Who can cross 8 levels and kill the opponent? In this world, from ancient times to the present, there may be no one else except Wu Yu. Unexpectedly, before I knew it, the heaven-swallowing record had broken 1,000 chapters. Congratulations to the heaven-swallowing record, and congratulations to myself. The number of chapters has reached 4 digits, and then, it is a new beginning. Remember Dragon Blood God of War, more than 3,000 chapters, and countless days and nights with you. In the future, I will continue to walk with you, never leave you. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1008. 5 times the time. It's a pity that Nanshan and Zixi can't come in, otherwise, it would benefit them. The floating life tower is a fortune that Wu Yu got outside of the inheritance of the great sage equaling heaven. Of course, the devouring heaven body is also. Nanshan Wanjiao also has a cost outside of the immortal inheritance, that is, the phantom demon eye. As for Yezixi, her Wan He Cat is actually one. Especially when it becomes stronger in the future, the relationship between a realm is still huge. Now it is not far from the capital of the gods, of course. Nanshan Wanjiao is not in a hurry to go. With the floating life tower, it only takes a few days, but it can become almost a month here in Wu Yu. So, while he was recovering his body, he did not forget to make progress in other places, especially in the 4 great magical powers. Among the 4 great magical powers, there are about 10,000 extra legal clones, which is already very powerful. If there are more, Wu Yu feels that he can't afford it. This is the most expensive magical power. Fire eyes and golden pupils. Wu Yu has practiced to the Fire Absolute Fairyland, and the level is also very high. It is the 5th level of Fire Eyes and Golden Pupils. Only the later Facian Xiangdi and Somersault Cloud remained at the 2nd level. Among them, Facian Xiangdi is slightly easier than Somersault Cloud. Wu Yu often uses it, becoming more and more proficient and mastering it, so he now wants to sprint to the 3rd level of Facian Xiangdi. In the 1st level of Facian Xiangdi, the physical strength is twice the original, and the physical height is also twice the original. Of course, the height can also be reduced to half. In the 2nd level of Facian Xiangdi, The physical strength is 3 times the original, which is also Wu Yu's current level, and the height is 4 times the original, or 1/4. Physical strength is doubled, at least for the first 3 levels. And the height is twice the previous level for each level. Of course, as far as Wu Yu knows, it is also the case for the first 3 levels. Now he has changed to the highest level, with a height of nearly 3 feet, completely a giant as tall as an attic. When he changed to the smallest level, he was only more than 1 foot tall, and he could come and go without a trace. Wu Yu devoted all the extra time to the cultivation of the 3rd level of Fa Tian Xiang Di. Ming Long knew the 3rd level of the formula very well, so Wu Yu did not need to communicate with the Ruyi Jinggubang. In fact, based on his experience of using Fa Tian Xiang Di countless times, it was only a matter of time before he could successfully cultivate the 3rd level. In fact, Fa Tian Xiang Di was the magical power he used the most, more than the Fa Wei Fen Shen, Huo Yan Jinjing, and Somersault Cloud. Because every time he fought, he needed huge physical strength, and 3 times the physical strength was an important guarantee for him to fight across 8 levels. Without this 3 times the strength, with his normal physical strength, it is estimated that he would have a hard time fighting against the 3rd level of the Dao Dao realm. Although the enlargement slowed down the speed, because Wu Yu was very fast and had the magic of walking, it did not affect the speed much. If I reach the 3rd level, my physical strength can explode to 4 times, and my body can be twice as tall and reach a level close to 6 feet. That's almost as big as a monster. Although physical strength is not equal to absolute attack power, after all, it still depends on the Purple Palace energy, but 4 times the physical strength can also improve the attack a lot, especially in close combat. The heavenly Dao magical power of the Monkey King is of course extremely mysterious. If Wu Yu had not been familiar with it countless times in this Fa Tian Xiang Di, when he first tried to conquer the 3rd level of the magic formula, it would not be so smooth. There is a saying that practice makes perfect. Wu Yu is now finding the cleverness of the 3rd level of Fa Tian Xiang Di in his proficiency. The first 3 levels of Fa Tian Xiang Di can be said to be a progression. The principle is the same, and the potential core is also the same, but it is more and more progressive, and each level adds some changes on the original basis. Wu Yu's foundation is very solid now, so he is thinking about the changes in the 3rd level. This will take a lot of time, but what Wu Yu lacks the most now seems to be time. Within the 5 times of the time in the floating life tower, he is not in a hurry at all. Even if he has not completed the return to the God, he feels that at least before the pilgrimage of all nations, he still has a lot of time to think about the 3rd level. At the same time, he can also think about the 3rd level of the Somersault Cloud at that time. Unfortunately, Ming Long did not even learn the 2nd level of the Somersault Cloud at that time. Wu Yu estimated that at that time, he would need to communicate with the Ruyi Jinggubang and might get the 3rd level of the method. However, in fact, he is more looking forward to the 3rd level of the Somersault Cloud. Ming Long also said that among the 4 great magical powers, the Somersault Cloud is the most difficult, but it is also the real supreme magical power, which must be better than the previous 3. Wu Yu did not expect that the cultivation of the 3rd level of the law of heaven and earth was smoother than he imagined. Within this month, before returning to the capital of the gods, Wu Yu successfully overcame many changes and difficulties in details and successfully upgraded this magical power to a new realm. The 3rd level of the law of heaven and earth. From then on, the physical strength can be exploded to 4 times the basic strength. At the same time, his body is already 8 times taller than an ordinary person. In fact, the real change is close to 6 feet, which is already 10 times. Therefore, this multiple is not particularly accurate, and it also has a certain range. Wu Yu is better at training, so he is naturally stronger. The power he can really explode is close to 5 times. The key is that at this time, with the addition of the violent technique, it will be amplified at the same time, and it is likely to reach a tenfold instantaneous burst. Although it is only once, the more the law of heaven and earth and the violent technique are coordinated, Wu Yu can only say that every time he uses the violent technique, it will really be his sure kill, and he may not even need any Taoist techniques or attack arrays. A violent technique plus the law of heaven and earth can crush people. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The gains from this return exceeded Wu Yu's expectations. Not only did the devouring heaven body become stronger, but he also had the Iron Wing 7-star bug. The key is that the floating life tower has 5 times the time, and finally the law of heaven and earth also impacted the 3rd level. It's perfect. Looking at Nanshan Wanjiao again, although the time is short, his control over the phantom demon eye has reached a new level. Nanshan Wanjiao's body training method, 9-turn Emperor Immortal Body, is a very sacred and immortal body training method. Although it is not as domineering and brave as Wu Yu's Vajra indestructible body, nor as weird and mysterious as Yezixi's Hell reincarnation body, it is wholly in the upright and fair. In fact, this is also the reason why the human form is getting more and more beautiful. With this method of the 9-turn Emperor Immortal Body, even if his original body is a pig, he can change into a human form. If he goes to heaven in the future, he will definitely be the most beautiful man. Now, Nanshan Wanjiao's 9-turn Emperor Immortal Body has reached the 4th level, which is very good. Although the strength is not as good as Wu Yu's 6 realms Heavenly King Buddha indestructible body, at least it has surpassed many top powerhouses in the flesh, such as the Regent King, etc. The magical powers of the Great Marshal Tianpeng, plus the 9-turn Emperor Immortal Body, plus the Phantom Demon Eye, it can be said that Nanshan Wanjiao's future looks second only to Wu Yu. Yezixi worked extra hard. She had the Wanhe cat, and her realm was higher than Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao. Now Wu Yu's Yuan Shen was the 6th, Nanshan Wanjiao was the 8th, and she was the 10th. In the future, when all the Purple Palace Yuanli was transformed into the 10 wheels of Kesadagarba Ghost Nerve, Yezixi could be even stronger. Moreover, after a breakthrough in cultivation, especially after the test of the Heavenly Demon Emperor's mansion, she could almost sprint to the realm of asking for the way. At her age, there was probably no one in the whole world of Yanfu who had reached the realm of asking for the way. Now, the 3 of them were full of confidence and returned to the capital of the gods. They were very low-key. After going to the capital of the gods, they went back directly on the Yingxian. Wu Yu looked at the huge capital of the gods from the sky. There are more people than before, and it is more lively than before. Many shops have added goods. It is estimated that there will be big business in the future. This shows that they all know about the pilgrimage of all nations, but we 3 outsiders don't know. Nanshan Wanjiao was amazed. To be honest, it was impossible for him to have any sense of belonging to the ancient country of Yanhuang. Wu Yu saw that the entire divine capital had a feeling before a storm. It might be very calm, but also very depressing. This depressing feeling was even more prominent in the imperial city, because Wu Yu knew that during this pilgrimage of all nations, the ancient Emperor Yanhuang would only appear and accept tributes. Often at this time, the Yanhuang royal family, the descendants of the ancient emperor, would have to bear the resentment from the entire world of Yamafu. Although they dared not kill people blatantly, all these people would target the Yanhuang royal family, giving them some pressure and power. Now, perhaps the royal sons and daughters, as well as those imperial envoys, are actively preparing to defend the glory and dignity of the Yanhuang clan, so there are few people walking around in the imperial city, and most of them are in seclusion. Wu Yu also successfully returned to the Le Emperor's mansion. They put away the hidden immortal. They had just returned, so naturally they had to pay a visit to the Le Emperor's son. Before the emperor, Wu Yu loudly requested to see him. It was Chu Fenjiao who opened the door. Going inside, Chu Haoan and Bailey Xuanhuan were all here. At the top, Emperor Li was sitting there in a heroic manner. At this moment, Wu Yu had a little illusion. He didn't expect that not long after he left, Emperor Le actually had a kind of imperial majesty. Soul Transformation Realm, 9th level. Wu Yu was really shocked. Emperor Le had reached this level at the age of less than 50. This was unique in the entire world of Yanfu. Could it be that, as Princess Nanyun said, he would begin to rapidly surpass all the emperors and princesses until he became the new emperor of Yanhuang? Such a thought flashed through Wu Yu's mind. In addition, he didn't expect that Xuanhuan, Chu Fenjiu and Bailey Xuanhuan had made great progress, and each of them had reached the 7th level of the Soul Realm. This progress was a miracle. Therefore, it is estimated that they are also considered to be the future right-hand men of Emperor Le. In fact, Wu Yu didn't know that now, the people in the public regard the 3 people on Wu Yu's side, plus Xuanhuan, Chu Fenjiu and the other 3, a total of 6 people, as the generals around Le Daizi in the future, the kind of people who will open up territories and go down in history. Of course, Wu Yu is the first. Le Daizi has won the attention of many people with his own progress. However, when he saw Wu Yu at this time, he was still very calm and said, "I know that before the important moment comes, you will definitely come back to help me." Wu Yu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1009. Emperor Yu sat on a high platform with a smile on his face. After not seeing him for a few days, he seemed to have changed a lot. Although he couldn't tell the difference, Wu Yu clearly felt that he was not as easy to deal with as before. When I came back this time, I clearly felt that there was an undercurrent everywhere. Perhaps, it is all caused by the pilgrimage of all nations. After Wu Yu took his seat, Emperor Yu asked, "How is your trip to Nanyan Demon Continent going smoothly? I heard that a lot of big things happened in Nanyan Demon Continent. Have you found the person you are looking for?" Wu Yu replied, "I found the person, but he is not the person I am looking for." "Oh, it's not the case, so why should we continue to inquire about Nangongwei?" Emperor Yu asked with concern. Wu Yu said, "Don't be deliberate, I'm not in a hurry. If there happens to be news, that would be the best." If he asked Emperor Yu to stop inquiring about Nangongwei, the other party would definitely think that Nangongwei from Nanyanye is who was real. Wu Yu naturally didn't want him to involve Nangongwei, so he simply said that he was not looking for that place. Emperor Yu can continue to let others look for him, but he can't be found anyway. Sure, Emperor Yu nodded. He sighed with emotion, "I didn't expect that a person like Huangzun would appear. The immortal beast of the eternal phoenix is really terrifying. Of course, as long as my father is here, no one in the Yanfu world can threaten the supremacy of our Yanhuang clan. That's natural. The ancient emperor lived forever, and he was the great emperor through the ages." Chu Haoan's eyes showed reverence. What kind of phoenix lord? When meeting the ancient emperor, he was not allowed to kneel down and kowtow. During this pilgrimage from all nations, this phoenix lord happened to establish some kind of Nanyan empire. In the past, all the demon lords there had to come to pay tribute. Now it has become a demon empire. I guess there will be more," Chu Fenyu proudly said. Emperor Yu smiled with satisfaction and said, "Wu Yu, have you heard about the pilgrimage of all nations?" Wu Yu nodded and said, "I heard about it when I passed by the Southern Emperor's city when I came back. In addition, the Southern Emperor asked me to say hello to you. It seems that he is very optimistic about the Emperor's son. He said this because he wanted to see Emperor Yu's reaction." Emperor Nan, Emperor Yu obviously didn't expect it, so his expression was a little surprised. Then he smiled and seemed to be satisfied. Then, he said, "It would be better for Emperor Nan to get in touch with me. I didn't expect that he would have this intention. In the future, you have to visit in person." Let's talk about the pilgrimage of all nations first. Since you have heard about it, you also know that when the time comes, we, the emperor's sons and daughters, including the emperor's envoys, will be under considerable pressure from those foreign bastards. But they all want us to be embarrassed, right? Wu Yu was very calm and said, "That's natural. I can understand their mood. After all, they feel a bit humiliated by coming to pilgrimage, haha. Now that he is tied to Emperor Keiru, if he talks like this, Emperor Keiru will definitely get closer to him. After all, the presence of 7 people in this hall has actually affected the situation of 2 groups confronting each other. The emperor must want to merge into one." The emperor's son smiled and said, "My father is in charge of the world of Jambu. He has not allowed them to lose their power and humiliate the country. He can also intimidate the heroes so that they can live and work in peace and contentment. It is just a formality to collect some tributes. However, who doesn't know these unscrupulous people? The foreigners don't know how to be grateful and feel unhappy in their hearts. They are really a group of ignorant people. However, this is the case every time we go on pilgrimage, because every time, our royal family will give to these foreigners lessons and shocks. This time is no exception. However, it has only been 8 years since the last time. I guess some of these foreigners have not prepared tributes yet. They will be more annoyed this time because they come in a hurry." Wu Yu didn't want to discuss who was right and who was wrong. He could only think that since the Yanhuang ancient emperor was powerful, no matter what he did in this world of Yanfu, it was equivalent to the law of heaven. Unless someone can break this natural law. The emperor frowned slightly at this time and said, "This pilgrimage of all nations is a little special. A few days ago, the regent revealed to me that my father deliberately designed some programs this time to make our generation and the entire Jambu, the young and powerful people in the world, have a fair chance to compete. In the past, we could ignore their provocations, but I guess not this time. Now other emperors, sons, and daughters feel some pressure. After all, we don't know our father. What do you think? After all, our number is limited. If we really compete with so many of them head-on, if we lose the face of the Yanhuang people, it will be difficult to stand up, and we may even become the sinners of the Yanhuang people. The ancient emperor wants to design some programs." Wu Yu was even more surprised when he heard the news. He didn't expect that the ancient emperor Yanhuang not only advanced the time for the pilgrimage of all nations, but also seemed to want to make it more lively. Originally, all the powerful foreigners this time, they were all reluctant to hand over the protection money. In the past, they didn't have many provocative opportunities to vent their grievances. Once Emperor Gu personally gave him the opportunity, they would definitely retaliate crazily. With such a program, it is obvious that it is related to the dignity and face of the Yanhuang people. As Emperor Zi said, once you lose in a fair competition, you are likely to be cast aside by the entire Yanhuang tribe, because the most precious thing for the Yanhuang tribe is their face. They are aloof, and what they value most is the sense of superiority and dignity. Wu Yu thought for a while and said, "Perhaps the ancient emperor designed this to test the emperor's sons and daughters to determine the real person he recognizes." He wasn't afraid to say what was in his heart, because that's what Emperor Keiru must have thought. Sure enough, his eyes sparkled a little and he said, "Do you think so too? Other emperors' sons and daughters also think so, so you should know in your heart that the real fierce competition has begun, right here. This pilgrimage of all nations, this time, is extremely important to me. This is the most important moment in my life. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content." Looking at his eyes, Wu Yu naturally knew that he was extremely eager to perform well in this pilgrimage of all nations. At this time, Emperor Yu suppressed his inner excitement. He took a deep breath and asked, "Wu Yu, I heard a rumor recently. I'll tell you what you think." "Your Majesty, please tell me." In fact, he didn't say anything. Wu Yu had expected it. Sure enough, the emperor said, it is rumored that when my father was young, at about my age, he was not particularly special. He was similar to other emperors' sons and daughters. However, one day, my grandfather had something special about him. After receiving attention, he suddenly rose rapidly, surpassing everyone, and in a short period of time, he had the second highest ability in the world. Wu Yu nodded and said, it means that the rumors believe that I was personally sent by the ancient emperor to serve as the emperor's envoy, and I also have some invisible attention, which is the special attention, right? So, now the outside world has begun to spread rumors, the emperor's son may be new. Emperor Yu quickly raised his hand to signal Wu Yu to stop talking. He said seriously, no one can guess what my father means. There are rumors outside now, but we must not take it seriously. I believe that the future is fair, so no matter what happens during this pilgrimage, we must give our best performance, at least not to lose the face of our Yanhuang tribe. He stood up and held out his palms. Wu Yu understood what he meant. The current rumors from the outside world were beneficial to him, but in fact they were also harmful. After all, he was getting too much attention now, and more people wanted to challenge him. Other emperors' sons and daughters would definitely not be willing to accept it. He must lower his mentality and strictly demand himself. Only by becoming truly strong can he truly become the existence he dreams of achieving. Wu Yu and others stepped forward, and the 7 people gathered around and put their palms together. From now on, the 7 of us will fight together as brothers and sisters. When we succeed, I will definitely make the 6 of us famous. Even if we cannot become gods, future generations will enjoy endless glory and wealth in our Yanhuang, the emperor said seriously. Chu Fengyu and the others were moved to tears. Although Wu Yu felt very calm, he still had to show loyalty at this time. Today's appointment is our new beginning. From today on, the 7 of us will form a rope and share life and death, honor and disgrace. It's quite a sworn look. After it was over, Chu Haosheng and the others went back first. Emperor Yu also knew that there was no need to say anything provocative, and he just had to prepare well. If there was any news about the program, he would definitely tell Wu Yu and the others as soon as possible. Clear. Emperor, there is something I forgot to tell you. When we came back, we encountered the Black Devil who assassinated us. Fortunately, we killed our opponent. But obviously, maybe because of the rumors, some people could no longer sit still. Dark Devil, Emperor Yu's eyes showed a fierce look, but he soon smiled again and said, this is definitely a method that my father looks down on. You should be more careful in the future. I will also arrange for someone to find out who it is. In fact, these boring methods under the Black Devil are useless. It is better to see the real results on the battlefield. The person who offers the reward will pay the price. He is very determined. It's natural. Next, everyone returned to their respective places to prepare. As soon as Nanshan Wanjiao came back, he immediately went out to the holy city of the colorful world to him to live in the world of mortals. Yezixi still works so hard and fully devotes herself to cultivation. Asking is not an easy state. To ask, one must truly mature one's own Tao. This is the most difficult hurdle to overcome in the entire cultivation career. Ask, naturally you have to ask, what is your own way? It is not easy to think clearly about this issue. Wu Yu has made breakthroughs in all aspects now. While thinking about the 3rd level of Somersault Cloud, he wants to go into the Taoist Demon Palace while there is still time and find himself a top Taoist skill. Now that the strength has increased, I have the ability to deal with the stronger demons and ancestors of the Taoist sect, and get stronger Taoism. I'm in a bit of a bad mood today and only wrote 1 chapter. I still owed you a chapter last time, so I owe you 2 chapters. I will post more when the situation is a little better. After all, the big plot of the pilgrimage of all nations is coming soon. I have perfected all the details and then published it well to avoid loopholes. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1010. First, Wu Yu returned to the Fusion Tower. Now, he can spend 5 times as much time in Fusion Tower as outside. Putting the Taoist Demon Palace here, it would take 5 times as much time to go in and study Taoism. In fact, Wu Yu does not have more time than others, because in the Floating Life Tower, his age continues to increase. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The deadline will still come as scheduled. If he fails to become an immortal on that day, he will still die. If he has been in the Fusion Tower and never came out, it is very likely that to outsiders, it seems that he has reached the end of his life and death in less than 200 years. They just don't know that Wu Yu has been in the Fusion Tower for more than 600 or 700 years. Of course, for Wu Yu, being able to use this time in advance is also very useful. It has been a long time since he took out the Taoism Demon Palace with the words Tao follows nature. When he placed the plaque in the center of the Fusion Tower, he remembered that he had something similar and more important in his hand, which was the gateway to the ancient demon world. I hope this ancient demon world can escape my control. Wu Yu thought of the ancient Emperor Xuanhuan. He hates this person's relationship, and up to now, he has no idea of its purpose. But Wu Yu hates this feeling very much, and every time he thinks about it, he will feel a certain degree of irritability in his heart. My life should be decided by myself. For the future pilgrimage of all nations, it seems that the whirlpool of the entire Yanfu world is rushing towards him. Of course Wu Yu will perform well, but he also wants to find out what the true purpose of the ancient Emperor Xuanhuang is. Only becoming stronger is the truth. After practicing a Taoist technique, I will go into the ancient demon world and explore it to see if there is any possibility that it could be my hiding place. If he didn't have to, Wu Yu certainly wouldn't want to leave the world of Jambudvipa, go to a strange place to live on the run, and live in a terrible crisis. Jambu world is his home. If he really wants to leave, it will only be after he becomes an immortal and after he has made arrangements for all his relatives and friends. I have firm beliefs and plans in my heart, and I also have a heart that shows no awe in the face of godlike existences. He entered the Taoist Demon Palace again and wandered around in search of the Taoism that suited him. With his current vision, there aren't many Taoist techniques that appeal to him. However, the demonic Taoist sect was once so glorious and had a profound heritage inherited from countless generations of ancestors. There should still be many top-notch Taoist techniques that Wu Yu could not understand. He spent 2 days choosing and finally made his decision. Of course, this is the time inside the Fusion Tower, and there is less than 1 day outside. At this time, he was already outside a ring, ready to enter. On that ring, a very familiar figure was standing. This figure was very short, like a child, with shining and clear eyes, looking at Wu Yu outside. This Taoist technique is called Kyuji Divine Eye Technique. It was created by one of the 4th generation deputy masters of our sect, Divine Eye Monkey Po Xiao. It took more than 30 years to finally achieve something. This Taoism, after obtaining the essence of breaking the sky in one's life, one's eyes will shine with divine light, shining on the heaven and earth. Everything they look at will disappear, purify and disappear, and the filthy things will have no escape. The best pupil technique in the world, it can be passed down through the ages. This technique is extremely powerful. I hope that the disciples of the demonic Dao sect, will use it carefully and don't make any big mistakes. The monkey with divine eyes, Po Xiao, has devoted his whole life to our demonic Taoist section. After his death, he is willing to join the demonic Taoist sect to inherit the great cause. He deserves the respect of the disciples of the section. His highest realm in his life is the realm of 3 disasters, the 7th level. After surviving the 2 disasters of heavenly thunder and yin fire, he was unable to go further. However, his life's achievements are worthy of the respect of his disciples. What Wu Yu has chosen now is the withering divine eye technique. Among the 7 ape kings, the second-ranked one is the monkey with divine eyes. Wu Yu had seen a monkey with magical eyes, and it was indeed similar to the monkey with magical eyes in front of him. Of course, the divine-eyed monkey in front of me was unknown how many years ago, even Minglong existed 120,000 years ago. It was because of the second penis of the 7 ape king that Wu Yu instantly noticed the monkey with divine eyes. Generally speaking, the Taoist techniques of the Demon Dao sect still have certain limitations. For example, it will be more convenient to practice the same type of monsters. I have the blood of an ape, so practicing the withered divine eye technique of this divine pupil monkey should be more convenient. It's easy, and I have a keen eye. Wu Yu could see that the withering divine eye technique was somewhat similar to the attack of the fiery eyes and golden eyes, and its power was slightly more special than the fiery eyes and golden eyes. However, it was mainly because the Taoist technique could be performed by all extra-legal clones, so Wu Yu valued it. If it is only performed by the main body, he has no need to practice Taoism for the time being. He is practicing Taoism now in order to perform it on tens of thousands of clones at the same time. Just imagine how terrifying the withering divine eye technique would be in that situation. After making the decision, he no longer considered anything else and entered the ring. The setting of the demonic Dao sect is very interesting. In order for Wu Yu to learn the withering divine eye technique, he must first withstand the attack. At the peak of Poxio, he was in existence at the 7th level of the 3 disasters Dao realm. Now he is not weak in this Dharma demon palace. It is not easy to block his withering divine eye technique. Wu Yu only used his main body in order to become more familiar with it and learn it faster while personally bearing the power of the technique. At this moment, he stood in front of the monkey with divine eyes. The law of heaven and earth. This time, Wu Yu used the limit of law of heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, his muscles, bones, flesh and blood grew explosively to nearly 6 feet tall, becoming a behemoth in the arena, and he was also a golden ape, rough and rude. He Lengli, in front of his eyes, the divine-eyed monkey was only 2 feet tall, almost as big as one of his thumbs. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. However, Wu Yu will not underestimate his opponent because of this. Just after Wu Yu came in, the monkey with divine eyes showed a cold expression. Perhaps it was affected by the tremendous pressure of Wu Yu's body. He stood far away from Wu Yu. At the farthest moment, he was already brewing the thought. The Kyoji divine eye technique is gone. Wu Yu instantly saw that the eyes of the monkey with divine pupils were filled with a dark orange light. The light was brewing rapidly and had penetrating light. Although the light was not much, at the moment when he looked into it, his eyes there is a tingling feeling. The next moment, the light in the eyes burst out. A ray of light penetrated at a speed that could not be reacted. The speed was beyond Wu Yu's imagination. The 2 gazes were very condensed, like 2 penetrating rays. The sword came and struck in front of Wu Yu in an instant. Although Wu Yu was well prepared, he actually did not have enough time to dodge the attack. Of course, he didn't want to dodge, he wanted to rely on himself to withstand the power of this technique, so that he could clearly experience its true power. He dodged slightly, and those 2 small rays of light penetrated his huge arms. This was a critical moment, otherwise the hit would have been on the chest. Wu Yu only felt a stinging pain on his arm. Lowering his head to look, those 2 gazes had already penetrated the arm, causing a large amount of blood to rain. The orange light wrapped around the wound, like maggots attached to the bone. At this time, it actually spread, tearing apart Wu Yu's flesh and blood. Wu Yu's physical body at this time collapsed under the erosion of this light, as if a plague was spreading. If this continues, it feels like not only his entire arm, but even his entire person will be swallowed up by this light. Amid the stinging pain, Wu Yu understood a little bit about the power of the withering divine eye technique. Of course, his Vajra indestructible body has a terrifying recovery ability. At this time, Wu Yu's indestructible body of the six realms Heavenly Lord King Buddha and the Withering Divine Eye technique are in fierce confrontation, so that he will not be swallowed up by this light soon. The power is so terrifying. After Wu Yu felt it, he actually smiled, because he knew that the more terrifying the power, the more powerful it would be after he mastered it. He is not in a hurry to defeat this opponent now. Moreover, the opponent was very flexible. After the first performance, he immediately continued the second time without stopping. Then the third time, the fourth time. The Kyoji Divine Eye technique, intensive bombing. Wu Yu's now huge divine body has a huge target, and the divine pupil monkey is extremely flexible. It surrounds Wu Yu and continuously directs the terrifying attack speed of the Withering Divine Pupil technique on Wu Yu. Many wounds were opened. Perhaps what shocked the monkey with divine eyes was that Wu Yu never took the initiative to attack, like a huge target, accepting its attacks. Although Wu Yu was actually grimacing in pain at this moment, he was not afraid. Instead, he focused entirely on pondering the power of this technique. Through the confrontation with the flesh and blood body and the withered light remaining on his body, to ponder the fundamentals of this pupil technique. In his opinion, enduring a large number of attacks is the fastest way to learn this art. Time passed, and on this arena, only dazzling rays of light could be seen, penetrating through the body of Wu Yu, who was unable to dodge. If there were outsiders watching the battle, absolutely no one would think that Wu Yu could reverse the situation at this time. It was almost like being played. It wasn't until his flesh and blood were mutilated and the first level of the world was on the verge of collapse, as if this indestructible body was almost unable to recover, that Wu Yu suddenly changed. He began to switch from defense to offense. The first step is to change your magical power from the largest to the smallest. From more than 6 feet, it changed to a little more than half a foot, and the whole person was only a little taller than a palm. At this time, Wu Yu was almost as thick as an ordinary person's thumb. He was almost invisible in this arena. In addition, he was currently riding a somersault cloud, dodging and moving around on this arena, and his speed was several times faster than before. The Divine Eye Monkey's Withering Divine Eye technique was no longer able to hit him. At this time, the Divine Eye Monkey looked much bigger than Wu Yu, and it definitely seemed to be the complete opposite. In fact, the small effects of the law, heaven, elephant, and earth are also very huge. According to Wu Yu's guess, if the sky and the earth continue to change like this, one day he really becomes a skyscraper giant. Then when he becomes smaller, he may only be as thick as a hair. Who can do it then? After discovering him, who can dodge his invisible attack? Or even, where can I stop myself from moving forward? Whether it is the Fa Tian Xiang Earth that may have millions of clones in the future, or the increasingly terrifying flaming eyes, or the current Fa Tian Xiang Earth, to the extreme, it is difficult to imagine. As for the somersault cloud, it goes without saying.